Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Thelma. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. It means the world to me. And if you're new here, you're welcome. I really hope that you don't leave without subscribing to my channel. Yes, so today's video is on dependent visa. A lot of people have asked me, Thelma, can I come with my spouse? Can I come with my children? And it's been a long time coming making this video because I really wanted to get my facts right. I did not just want to just do the video, yeah, and I wanted to also make sure I put down the requirements, yeah. So yeah, stay tuned. Okay, so on the dependent visa, so I have advised whenever people ask me, can I come with my spouse and all, and I say to them that I think that the wise thing to do is to come to Japan first before thinking about your children and your spouse. I think that's, I don't know, I think sometimes it sounds like, oh, you don't understand, like I'm the only one taking care of my kids, I'm the only one, you know, I need to come with my wife, you know, and I understand all that, but Japan is very different from other countries. They are just very different. They don't just hand out their visa. You need to have something that you're doing specifically in Japan, and that's why it's a bit rare to see people on a tourist visa in Japan. It's not like it's impossible, I don't know, but like it's just a bit rare, I don't know, to see people here on a tourist visa and all. So I mean, if you're planning to live here permanently, I would say that you need to come here obviously on on your own, or you and your spouse applies for the job, and whoever manages to come, or if both of you come, great job, you know, can stay. So yes, on the requirements on who can actually bring their dependent to Japan. So it's a person who is resident in Japan for quite a while and working here professionally. So you see, I wasn't even lying when I said you need to come here first before you start thinking about how to bring your spouse or your children. And it won't take a while. I think that 6 months, and 6 months should be enough time to like stay here and, you know, think about bringing your spouse. But I mean, it might not be 6 months, at least a year, 6 months to a year, so 6 to 12 months. Then you can start thinking about bringing your spouse to Japan or your children to Japan. So I wouldn't even say that it's only just maybe work, because I said working professionals. The reason why I said that is you will find out like along the line why I said that. It's mostly for people who are resident and working here professionally. So who can you bring to Japan? You can only bring your legally married spouse and your legal children. So you can bring your boyfriend, you can bring your parents, you can bring your siblings to Japan as well. Yeah. What are the requirements for bringing them eventually if you come here and you're residing in Japan? So the requirement for dependents, let me start with the dependents. So yeah, because the residents in Japan's requirements are long, so let me just start with the dependents. So they'll need their passports, and they'll need the visa application form, which they can get from the immigration like website, and the information is obviously about them. And they'll need a photograph, a 4.5 cm times 4.5 cm with a white background photo, yeah, and it has to be taken within 6 months, so it's not an old photo or passport, I don't know. And then at the back of it, your name and your date of birth has to be written. And another thing is your original and photocopy of your certificate of eligibility, which I will discuss shortly, and your birth certificate and marriage certificate. Yeah. So what are the requirements for the certificate of eligibility? So this is very important. You can't, so even when you want to apply for a work visa, they have to send you your COE so that you can go and apply for a visa. So it's very important in getting your dependents here. So the person who applies for a certificate of eligibility is the person resident in Japan. Yeah. And so the person resident in Japan has to go to the immigration office and get the certificate of eligibility form, application form, and fill in the details of their dependents, that's their husband or their children. And then there has to be a letter of guarantee. So it just simply says that you're living in Japan and you can actually sponsor your dependents when they are here. So you see, so they need to be sure that you can take care of this person you're bringing to Japan. And another thing I know that let me just say before I move on, people say, how old should they be? I think you can bring your children here at, I don't know, whichever age they are, but however they cannot be financially independent. They cannot be financially independent, you get. So they need to be children. I think the older they get, it becomes difficult for you to bring them here. Anyway, so continue. So the resident or the applicant for the dependent visa needs a recent photo of their dependents. So it's the same size as what the dependent provided or provides eventually. And then an employment certificate of the person living in Japan. That is you, in residence in Japan. You need to show your employment certificate. That means you might not need to show your bank financial statement, because at least your employment certificate or states, how much you earn and where you're working at. The next thing is your tax payment certificate of the previous year, which is your nose shomisho. So if they say it's a tax payment certificate of previous year, that means you might actually need to be here for a year. I don't know, but you can try when you come here. As long as you're here, you can figure it out. The next thing is your income tax certificate, your kaze shomisho of the previous year. So the two certificates can be gotten from the city hall. Yeah, so from the city hall of the city you are in. Yeah. So you also need a photocopy of your residence card, front and back. Then your marriage certificate. Regarding your marriage certificate, you also have to confirm from the immigration if you do not need to translate it to Japanese, because they might not maybe accept the English certificates. They might need you to translate it. So confirm from the immigration officer. And then the next thing is your passports, the passport copy of your dependents, that's your husband or your children, and yours as well, and your birth certificate as well of both of you, and an envelope from the post office with a postage stamp, from them. And you also need to share photos of you and your spouse or your children, 2 or 3 of them, so that you can be sure. So and he needs to be printed in an A4 size paper and labeled. So labeled father, mother, your name, your husband, you or your children's name, all that needs to be labeled. And so when you get back the certificate of eligibility from the post office, then you can now send it back to your home, like to your dependents in Nigeria or anywhere. Then they can now take that and apply with all those documents I said they need to provide. And then another question I know people would ask is, can dependents work when they come here? And the answer is yes, they can work. However, they need to get a special permit to work. And that special permit to work, you can't work full time, so you only have 28 hours in a week to work. So that's how limited your time is to work. So you can't, number of hours in a week. So you can't work for so long. So it can't be a full-time job. Because remember, you are saying you can sponsor your dependent. So you need to prove that. Even though they have part-time job, you need to prove that you can take care of them. So can your dependents eventually, another question is, can your dependents eventually work full-time? The answer is yes. Again, they can eventually work full-time, and it's not about living here for like 100 years, it's only if your dependent's employer decides to sponsor their visa, so they can now switch from dependent visa to a work visa. Yeah, I hope this really helps. Like, I hope this answers your question. Yes, you can bring your spouse or your children to Japan, but no, I don't think you can like bring them along unless you're applying for a tourist visa and all that. But even if tourist visa, you're not going to live in Japan now with your tourist visa. Yeah. So please don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you, and please leave your video suggestions for me. I also don't take your questions for granted. I see your questions and I'm in my head, making notes of them so that I can answer them comprehensively. I don't just want to be answering questions individually because someone else will still ask the same question. So why don't I take all these questions and make them into a video? Yeah, so finally we've come to the end. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. Bye.